You what?
You haven't got our names up.
Yes, I have. Hello.
No.
After
Hello.
being what? Hello. You're going live now, and you smack my hand saying the names of it. It's got Andrina Forrest and Jeffrey Shaw, Elisabet Alfstad. Anyway. Hey. Oh, well, there you go. One mere male against two females is tough. It's, like those African savannas where the lion's got the bloody lionesses in it. Get punched out. Okay, Dreaming the New Dream, live from the studios in Brisbane. The two blonde girls come from, Europe, Norway, in fact, one of them, and the other one's from Blimey, England. Without further ado, I'll hit you over to at the top of the totem pole.
Where's our welcome music?
Do we need music? We are the music.
Thank you. I spent ages getting that done and getting the music sorted out, and then he didn't play it.
It's beautiful.
Anyway, good morning, everyone. Good day, wherever you are in the world. Today, it's the 19th of December, 24, and I have to wish my son Lee a happy birthday today.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, it's with great pleasure that I have Elisabet Alfstad in the studio today. So thank you so much. Oh, I haven't put my phone on silent. Thank you so much for being our guest today. Just give me a... Right.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me. It's an honor to be here, and I'm very excited to share everything I know about the Yule traditions of the Nordic countries, and also to talk about winter solstice. I'm very, very happy to be here. So thank you for having me.
Oh, no, it's our pleasure. And I wanted somebody to talk about solstice. So obviously it's winter solstice here, and I think it's summer solstice for Jeffrey and others around the world. And I know it's a very important tradition. But can we start at the very beginning? That you came from Norway, and I know what are you saying? Excuse me. Right. So you're an international speaker. You've been a teacher for over 20 years, and I know you've got many wonderful gifts and talents, and you've done many modalities, and you're a priestess of the Sacred Heart. And one thing that I saw was about you, apart from being guardian of sacred lands, which I think is beautiful, and you do the tours of ancient sites, but there was something about the scrolls that in your bio that I can't remember what it said now, but it was something about rediscovering or the scrolls, and I thought, oh, that would be nice. So I don't know where we're going to start with all this. So I think if we start at the beginning, that you were born in Norway, and like I said earlier, Norway to me is like Christmas, is all the trees and the snows, and I've got lovely images of Norway. So would you like to start from the beginning and do your best to bring us up to where we are now with all what's going on?
Yes.
In a nutshell.
I'll do my best, Andrina.
Thank you, lovely.
Yes. So yes, I was born in Norway. I was raised in Norway, and I lived there until I was 18 years old. And then I left, and I didn't look back, because for me, the world was very, very interesting, and I learned so much. And I actually lived some time in America. I lived in the Middle East, and I lived in Europe, in France, and now I'm in the UK since almost 6 years. So that's the movement that has, been prevalent in my life. But growing up in Norway is really, really special and really dear to my heart because it was like I grew up in pure nature surroundings. Norway is a country of myth and legend, but it also is a country where nature is so important. You have the 4 seasons there, and as you know, it's one of the most northern countries on the planet. It's very close to the North Pole, where they say that Santa Claus lives, which is another funny story I'll get back to. But we have a very deep connection with nature in Norway. And this is something I've brought with me all over the world where I travel. I have deep founded respect and love for nature. I believe we are nature. I believe what we do to nature, we do to ourselves. And the more we can respect nature and live in harmony, the better lives we can actually live. So growing up there, I enjoyed a lot of the snow, a lot of the skiing, walking under a starlit sky in maybe minus 15 or minus 20 degrees at night. It is pure magic. And seeing the northern lights as you grow up, seeing wild reindeer in the mountains, I thought, this is what everyone in the world gets to do, but it's very special to the northern Scandinavian countries. And because of the dark season in winter, the light becomes so important. So the traditions around Yule, which is the winter traditions, and Christmas and all of these celebrations, they become very, very important because they are life-giving and life-bringing. When you have really cold weather and you have snow covering all the land, the fire becomes an important element. The light becomes very important because you have no more sunlight. So I grew up with great respect for all the elements, for all parts of nature. And I think it's something that I took with me wherever I went. And yes, I have been fascinated with traditions. I've been fascinated with the ancestry that I carry in my bloodline, but I'm also fascinated with the ancestry of other lands all around the earth. And wherever I go, I always love to connect to the natives of the land. So when I was spending time in the Midwest in America, growing up and studying there, I connected to the indigenous tribes, and I loved to learn about how they see Earth, how they see the universe, how they see their connection with the earth, and truly living in balance and in deep respect for nature. And again, in the Middle East, I found that the traditions there were more around the gathering of community, the gathering of people. And I found it more difficult to connect with nature there in the sense of that the countries in the Middle East are so rich in history. They have incredible heritage of, the ancestry of the temples that were built there and the cultivation of the land. And there is, I feel that there is a yearning for a deepening of respect for nature and for the cultures and the ancestry that has been on these lands. The same as Egypt, as we all know, it carries one of the legacies of civilization with the pyramids. And I always see that these incredible architectural structures that are made in Egypt were made at the same time as, for example, the stone circles and the different earthworks all over the planet. And I believe there's a reason for that. I believe that the way our ancestors built and created a way for us to tap into their wisdom through the earthworks and through the buildings of architecture that is just incredibly impressive. I feel like that is actually crystalline consciousness in frozen form, in the sense that when you walk into a temple space, whether that is in the Middle East, whether that is in Egypt, whether it is an old long barrow of a grave site in a Viking country, or in a country in England where you have all these sites that were built to honor Mother Nature, but also to honor the traditions and our connection to the whole universe. When you are in such a place, which I call a sacred place, you can actually tap into the wisdom that is anchored there thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. So this has been a lifelong fascination for me, to see how different peoples of the earth connect with nature, connect with themselves, and leave a legacy for the future generations to receive that knowledge, to receive that truth. And you can feel it. You can feel it in your body. You can feel it in your energy field. And sometimes I say that the less you know with your mind, the more you can actually absorb with your being. Because we are beings of, I believe, pure light. And we can tap into all the mysteries of the world and all the cultures and civilizations of the world if we come with an open heart. So I've been fascinated with this since my childhood. And now I live here in the UK in one of the greatest stone circles, the largest stone circle in the world. And I love the way that this sacred land is still celebrated until today for its beauty, for its healing powers, for its incredible purity. There is this element and essence of truth here that still is so prevalent, and you can feel it when you come to visit. And there are ceremonies on the land, there are honorings of the change and cycles of time and seasons. And that's what I was brought up with, was a deep founded respect and love for nature. And anywhere I find that in the world, I just love it. And then I want to share about it for everyone to feel and to be inspired by.
Well, we're very glad for you to share, and your love and passion comes through, and I know there's so many avenues we can go off here.
Yes.
So many, like there's so many different things. But anyway, let's stick to solstice and traditions and the stones, because I love anything to do with. Do you think there's more of awareness of people honoring the lands now and working with the elementals and the divas and all that than before?
I do find that people are now seeking nature as a place of healing and refuge for themselves. We live very fast-paced lives. There's been a lot of stress for people over the years, with certain things happening where people couldn't even go outside if they wanted to, and people having to rethink everything. Transform themselves and their lives. And I feel like there's an invitation now to really go into nature and spend more time in peace, in connection with all that is, and to ask the greater questions of life, which is, why am I here? What is my purpose here? And how can I regenerate myself? How can I become inspired and be uplifted? And anytime anyone asks me, what do you do to stay healthy? What do you do to stay happy? I said, you go out in nature, you go for a walk. You remember that you're part of the whole, and nature is so beautiful. And there is absolutely, I believe, Andrina, an awakening within us all that we are part of something so divine, so magical. And all we need to do is open our eyes and go out in nature and honor her, honor nature, Mother Earth.
Totally. I mean, I love it when I go in the forest amongst the trees and, like I'm like a blooming magpie. I come back with stones and fir cones and all sorts.
Yes. Well, that's it. The magic is real. The magic is real. And I invite everyone here, you know, who's listening, to go for a walk into nature and make a little offering, whether that is a flower or whether it's a little rock that you have, or holding onto a tree, looking at it and just soaking in that beauty, and then offering your own love as a gift back to Mother Nature. I can guarantee that there will be some magic happening. The birds will come to you, the animals will find you, you'll meet a special person on your way. There will be magic. There will be beauty if you do that. I believe
definitely. So. Yeah. No, there's so much in nature. Yeah. It's just going, like walking into another world, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Hey, excuse me.
Yes.
Did you see the other day? I don't know if it was the people from Damaha who've got that instrument that you plug in onto plants. And so I'm not too sure if it was in Damaha up in Italy, or it might be in the UK. But they got a big, huge fiscus, one of those massive bloody trees that we have in Australia, but it wasn't in Australia. And they put that instrument onto all the different aspects of that big fig tree. Yeah? And then they set it all up into the musical disc, massive disc, and then they played it. And I think there's about 100 and something people standing around the fiscus, and the tree was singing to them, and all these different chords. Absolutely bloody unbelievable. Yes.
Absolutely. This is so fascinating. And I love that you bring this up, Jeff, because the most incredible healing power that nature holds for us is actually sound and frequency. And it's the healing frequencies. So sacred sound is everywhere, because this universe is actually created up by frequencies and sounds and words. And so when we walk in nature, whether we are aware of it or not, all the trees, all the plants, all the flowers, even the ground is sending us healing energy all the time. And just like you said, we now have the science to actually connect to the leaf of a plant or a tree by its branches or its roots. And tones are being translated into these, you know, instruments that allow us to actually hear the song of the trees, the song of the mountains, the song of the flowers. It's incredible. And we are exposed to this all the time. And there is actually evidence that when we spend too much time inside and we are in front of, you know, electrical equipment, we get too many positive ions. These positive ions kill the cells in our body, and they actually have a detrimental effect. As soon as we walk into nature, into a natural landscape, all of these negative ions, which are actually positive for us, but they are called negative ions, we are showered in them. And it changes the molecular structure back to a balanced homeostasis state. So it is healing on so many levels. And now we can even hear the music that nature is playing for us constantly. I mean, can it get any better? It's amazing.
It's magical, isn't it?
It is. Yes.
Yes.
One of yes.
No, I was going to say that I know you're a guardian of sacred lands. So how does that work for you? If you can give like people an idea, well, what does a guardian do?
Yes. So I have to say, first of all, that this comes from within myself. This is my soul calling. It's my heart calling. Nobody has actually called me and said, okay, you are appointed to this land and we're going to give you this salary. It doesn't work like that. When I had the opportunity to live where I wanted to, I chose to live in Avebury, or let's say Avebury chose me.
Yeah.
I set the intention that I wanted to be on sacred land, to serve the best I could, to be in harmony with the land, and to honor my ancestry and the wisdom of my ancestors. And that is one of the purposes I know I have in my life, is to spread awareness, is to spread the light, is to spread wisdom, and inspiration. I am so passionate about, you know, the living legacies that we are of our ancestry and the wisdom of our ancestors that knew how to live in reverence and in harmony with the earth. And for me, living in Avebury is a heartfelt mission. People actually come up to me and ask me, what is my connection here? Because they can feel it. It's almost like my energy is just overflowing with reverence for this place. And when I tell them how much I love Avebury, how much I love the stones, the trees, the place, they become inspired and they start opening their eyes to see a place in a different way. And then I remind you that every land is sacred. It doesn't mean that one land is more sacred than another. All land is sacred.
Of course.
But it is our intention that changes this. So if you have a place like Avebury, where, for example, the Druids, they come and they do numerous ceremonies of honoring the earth all year long, this builds a field of respect, a field of reverence, an energy that you can hear. You can see them wearing the white robes, and they have the staff, which represents the connection to the trees, which are very important wisdom keepers for the Druids. And the white clothing also represents the light, bringing the light, which is the source of creation of life on earth, right? And the connection, the staff is the connection as human beings that we have between the earth and the cosmic heavens around us. So we are like the bridge. We are the dreamers of the dream, if you like. And just like our ancestors, we are still doing that. And when you come to Avebury, you can feel it. As you walk the land, you can feel how many people, hundreds and thousands of people before you, have walked the same lands, honoring it, loving it. And look at this beautiful place. I mean, these stones are our heritage. It belongs to all of us. Each stone is made up of a very high quantity of quartz. These are called sarsen stones. And quartz, as we know, is used in modern technology to store memory. So these stones are actually memory keepers. They're guardians of sacred memory on earth. And when you touch one of them, you can feel that energy. This energy can be measured. It has an impact on us, and it tells you stories if you're open to listen to them. So, yeah. I can go on and on and on about this, so you have to stop me, Andrina.
Oh, that's a lovely picture. Where's that?
This picture is from Norway, and this is what it looks like in winter time.
How beautiful is that?
It is so peaceful, and you know, the snow is so crisp, it's so dry, and actually it's really important to have this snow, because when the sun comes up, and it barely comes up above the horizon in wintertime, it illuminates the entire landscape. You have this crystalline, pure light that really, really, you know, like lightens you up in the darkest of the winter. And it's so important to have that connection and to go out, even if it's cold. The beauty just, you know, it elates you.
And there's such a sense of peace in it when the snow has fallen. It's just like, yeah.
Yes, there is a great sense of peace with it. And actually, what people don't realize is that when you have a layer of snow in the landscape, this actually creates an insulation of sound, which gives you that peaceful, quiet feeling. And there is this, you know, have you ever walked on the snow and it goes like this? And it's magical. It really is. And every single snowflake is a crystalline structure. So for me, when I see the snowflakes fall, I'm like a child again. I said,
Yeah,
"Oh,
no.
it's snowing! Catch the snowflakes!" You know. And each and every snowflake is a miracle. They're never the same, and I believe that they come to actually heighten the energy and give us a crystalline purification, if you like.
Magical. Yeah, no, I mean, because we don't get snow very often over here, and it's like when there's something special when, you know, when it's snowing, it's like, oh, it's snowing.
Yes. And here you see a picture of, this is actually the Norwegian tradition, is to hold hands.
Oh, that's
And
lovely.
yes, it's to hold hands and to sing songs about Christmas as you walk around the tree. And notice that the tree has been lit up with lights, which is really important. And then you can see everyone wearing a little red hat. And this is actually representing the gnomes, which are, you know, the small, we call them nisse. But these are actually the small beings that take care of nature with us and for us.
Yeah, because I know, like, you're sort of steeped in tradition to do with the elves and the gnomes and the little people, and you know, some people believe in them and some don't, and that's, you know, absolutely fine. Everybody's on a journey, and you know, we all think differently. So
Absolutely, but I love that we still have living traditions today that are steeped in ancient lore and ancient mystery. If you look at this picture here that Jeff has put up, this is a really interesting one. I wanted to show how so many traditions and belief systems are actually intertwined. Because look at this Santa Claus. He's wearing a green cloak, and he's holding his hand up to the mistletoe, which is considered the most sacred plant for all the druids and the pagans. And he's doing that, and he's holding a staff, which also has like green leaves on it. And he has a crown of holly, which is the Holly King. So here you see a perfect example of an artist who have then merged the style of the Santa Claus, the Christmas, and the pagan oak king, who then represents the change of the times and the seasons around winter solstice. And this is what happens a lot. For example, the Christmas tree that we bring into our living rooms every year at Christmas time, that actually is an ancient reverence of the tree spirit coming from the pagan beliefs. And the druids, they look at the green tree spirit as the wisdom keeper. But not only that, it is also giving us a hope for new life, for the year to come, for the cycle and for life to start all over again. So here we can see that all these traditions of Yule, Christmas, the druids, the pagans, they're all intertwined.
incredible, eh?
Yes.
So I know there'll be a mass at Avebury this weekend. So
Yes.
So are they going to be there on Saturday? I don't know what the date is, because I know it's the 19th today, and like some places say it's the 21st, some say it's the 22nd. So
Yeah. Well, I will explain that, but I first wanted to just, the picture you showed there, Jeff. It's a really funny one. So here you see that in Norway and Sweden and Finland, we believe that there are these little gnomes that live out in nature, and in wintertime they need some, they need some food. So what we do is that we actually cook porridge. We cook it with rice and milk, and we make a big tray of it like that, and we go and we put it into the barns or out by, outside on the step to our house. And then we wait for the little gnomes to come, and the little elves as well, and all the elemental beings to come and actually enjoy the food that we give them. And this was actually to ensure that the harvest would be good the next year, that they would take care of the animals on, the farm, or they would make sure that nothing goes wrong in the house, to keep the peace. It's like a peace offering. And until today, they still do this in the Nordic countries. And I just think it's a really, really nice and honoring tradition. And kids love it. Kids love it.
Of course. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
No, I love anything like that, but then, you know, I love anything. Yeah, so I'm a child at heart on many levels, but
We all are children at heart. And I think going back to the simplicity of our traditions as when we were children, it's so good to bring them back and to see that Christmas doesn't have to be all about consumerism and buying expensive things and offering them to each other. It can be about honoring nature. It can be about going skiing. Here you can see the gnome skiing on his wooden skis.
His backpack. There's a barrel by the look of it. Oh,
I think he actually has a basket on his back, and he has some different things, maybe gifts or something in there. But, you know, it's the gesture of giving. It's the gesture of also giving back to nature, giving back to each other, being grateful for what we have in the dark and cold of winter. So the principles of Christmas and the principles of Yule are actually those of reflection, of gratitude, and of honoring each other and honoring nature and waiting for the return of the light. So going into solstice, which is this beautiful time of year now, it's winter solstice in the northern hemisphere and summer solstice where you are, Jeff, in the
Queensland,
you know, in the southern hemisphere of the earth. So winter solstice is mostly around the 21st of December. And this is exactly the midpoint where the sun will stop and change direction and go back towards the summer solstice. What does this mean? It means that we are now reaching the darkest point in the northern hemisphere, the longest day of the year, with the less sunlight you can possibly get. And this is really important for people to recognize that, you know, many hundred years ago, the return of the sun was actually primordial to life itself. It was of high urgency that the sun would return and bring longer and warmer days, because without the sun, we couldn't live here. So the honoring of the return of the sun is a big and important event, especially for the Druids of the land. And they welcome the sun with the first sunset on the 21st of December. So that's happening now in Avebury. The sun is going to rise on the 21st of December, which is this Saturday, at 8:04. So the Druids will meet up in a big circle in the Sun Temple of Avebury Henge, and they will stand there, they will call in the directions, they will, you know, call in the ancestors, and they will honor the return of the sun, because it is the return of the sun. But winter solstice, the word solstice actually comes from Latin, and it means the moment the sun stands still. So solstice is literally when you have the sun has become less and less and less light giving in the seasons going into November, December. Then it will stop, stand still, and it will start returning back to the lighter days, back to summer solstice on the 21st of June, where you have the longest day of the year with the most hours of sun, and exactly the opposite to what we're experiencing now.
And it's amazing, because I know, like Saturday when we go back, excuse me, it's amazing how quickly it gets lighter again on the evenings, because obviously it's dark, you know, sort of 4 to 4:30. It's dark here now, but once that happens on the 21st, it's really quick that the days start getting lighter again. It's just incredible, really.
Yes, it is. It is incredible. And it also is a relief, because as beings of light, we need sunlight. And when it gets really dark and it gets really cold, we start losing that happiness. We start losing the hope. we really need more and more sunlight.
Mm.
So it is a celebration of the return of the sun. And this is why we put lights on the Christmas tree. It's why we light the candles. It's to honor the light and the life bringer. And we do this in different ways.
Fabulous.
Yes.
So are you going back to Norway for this Christmas?
This Christmas, I'm actually spending it here in Avebury. And I will be there for the ceremony with the Druids as we greet the sun on Saturday. I'm also giving some readings to people who would like some solstice readings. I actually have a friend joining for the solstice ceremony, coming all the way from Australia.
Really?
Yes.
All right.
Yes. So that's going to be really wonderful. Yeah.
Okay.
And, yeah.
So where would you like to go now? Because I know,
yes.
Yes, honouring the lands is really important, and I think you know, where herbs and things like that come into being, more and more people are tuning into the herbs and learning about them, and because whenever I pick anything, I always ask permission first, and you know, we all do these little things, and people laugh, but then I think, you know, people say, oh, well, go on, you know, what are you doing that for? And I said, well, just something I like to do. But then you put a spark into that that person, don't you? So it's like like you say, walking into the forest is pausing before you go in and honouring the land, and you know, asking permission to come in, or you know, different people do different things, don't they? So, but there's definitely more of a awareness now of people realizing there's more of this going on than we've been taught, or it's been hidden.
Yes, it's been hidden, and a lot of the traditions that we might not know where they come from. We just do them because we do them every year, and it's really nice to actually look into the questions of why do I do what I do, and why is it important? And the more we can actually connect to the truth, and the more we can connect to nature as a life bringer, as, you know, a place of rejuvenation, a place of celebration, the more we're going to receive in our lives as well, and the more we can share that. And I love that you said, Andrina, that before you pick anything up in nature, you ask permission. Every time I go to a sacred land, a sacred site, before I enter, I put my hands on my heart and I just ask inwardly, do I have permission to enter this site? And I feel a yes or I feel a no. And very often I hear a yes. I very rarely get a no.
Yeah, no.
And then I know that I'm coming into the site with respect and reverence. And there are so many beautiful, magical unfoldings that happen when you go with an open heart and you set the intention, and you really become in awe of the beauty that is all around you. It's really, it's a shift of the way you see life. It's really becoming more humble and looking at everything and realizing that we should never take any of this for granted. And it is the efforts of our ancestors, it's their wisdom that actually allows us to tap into this and receive the gifts that they gave us thousands of years ago. And that's truly miraculous, I believe. That's a true legacy to leave to the people of the future generations. And we must really remember to keep that going. It becomes awe-inspiring, truly. I wanted to mention one more thing, which is really interesting. One of the beautiful traditions in Scandinavia is happening, actually, it happened on the 13th of December. And 13 is the number of the sacred feminine as well. And there is a celebration called Santa Lucia, which is the saint of light. And Lucia or Luce means light. So there is a feast of the light. And what happens is that all the children, they actually wear a crown of candles, and these candles are lit, and they make a processional walk into the church, into a hall, and people actually celebrate with singing, with song and music, and wearing these beautiful white robes. They are actually singing and praising the return of the light. So here you see another cross, what is, I believe, it's like a synchronistic tradition of the Christianity merging with a pagan or very old Nordic belief of bringing the sun back into our houses, back into our hearts, honoring the return of the sun. So yeah, there you go. You see this lady? She's actually wearing a crown of candles that are lit. And isn't what she's wearing, this white, beautiful gown with the red belt? She's walking in nature. She's surrounded by candles lit up in nature as well. Isn't this really reminding us of the Druids and their cloaks and their outfits? I find it so fascinating that we are still celebrating this as a Christian tradition, but it's actually mixed in with the old Nordic Yule traditions.
I know, I'm not sure where I was, whether it was in Australia or somewhere, but we went somewhere and they had a parade, or they had a procession of people walking along doing this with lamps or candles, but I'm not sure if it was in Australia. I can't recall where I saw it now, but I know over here there are a few places that carry that tradition on.
Yes, absolutely. And the return of the light is so important that even in Newgrange, they have, at the very, very moment of winter solstice, you have the ray of sun entering the chambers of Newgrange, going all the way into the monument and hitting the wall at the back where you have, the triskel. And this is, for me, the symbolism of creation. Light itself is penetrating into the womb of Mother Earth and bringing us new life, new creation, and it's like bringing the new spring in. And it's been the wisdom for ages on this planet. Jesus Christ is also called the light of the world, and it is no coincidence that we celebrate Christmas, which is the Christ Mass, exactly in the same time as solstice. The sun is shifting her direction. So I believe that this syncretism is everywhere when we start looking. Maybe we're all celebrating the same thing.
Well, yeah.
Hey, you just mentioned the feminine aspect of the sun.
Yes, I believe so. For me, the sun is both feminine and masculine. And even though in traditional, we have the moon as the feminine and the sun as the masculine, I believe that the sun is also feminine. I believe that the solar aspects can also be the feminine goddess, the light goddess, the golden light. And I believe that this very much goes back to, for example, Egypt, where you have many of the goddesses were wearing the sun disk. And they were also connected to the solar aspect of the goddess, not only the lunar aspect of the goddess. So I think that there is a union between all the elements, and there is, of course, a very, very important distinction between the masculine and the feminine. But I personally believe that the sun in itself, it represents pure light. And to me, that is both masculine and feminine. And I believe that as human beings, we embody both of those aspects within us. And that comes back to Heroes Gamos and Sacred Union. Yes?
In Russia, they call it the motherland. In Germany, they call it the fatherland. And the Germans see the moon as masculine, and they see the sun as feminine.
Yes. Yes, it is. It's.
Yeah. Okay,
Yes,
so
it's
I just
fascinating. It's
right.
fascinating how, you know, each culture and each place on the earth believe in different things. And I know that the truth is within yourself. What feels right for you, what feels true to you, is your truth. And we all have to allow each other to feel what is your truth, what is my truth. And this is actually what creates, I believe, the richness of the tapestry of life, is that we are different and that we have so many varieties and so many new ways and old ways and different ways of thinking. That's what life is all about for me. It's about the mystery and discoveries that keep unfolding.
Mm.
Okay, this is right out of left field. Hey,
Come on.
you know when you look up in the sky and you look at the clouds and you can see faces and all that stuff in the clouds, and you can see that in the bush and trees. The reason I put this picture up, if you're looking from up above looking down, and I thought there's a cosmic joker here. Yeah.
Yes.
Now, the reason I'm saying it's a cosmic joker, this looks like a male appendage. Yeah.
Oh, I thought it looked like a goat or a lamb with the ears going back. Just tells where we're at, doesn't it, eh? God.
Yes.
So all I'm saying is that the Anglo-Saxons, this white race or whatever, came all the way up, and then they come through here and they spat out the semen, which now becomes the Vikings, have gone over here to England to rape, burn, and pillage. But the largest shipping company in the world happens to be Danish, Maersk, and all their ships are full of semen. I just see the comical aspect.
Yes, I can see. Actually, it's really interesting because I have never seen that before until you said it. And I find it really, really fascinating.
You won't get out of your head now.
Yes, well, I believe that nature is intrinsically very sexual in nature. So what I mean by that is that everything that is natural and everything that is created comes from creation, which has sexual and life force energy in it. And I love that you can see that, because actually all of the masses of land that we have on earth are created from somewhere. And I believe that the force that drives sexuality, sensuality, life itself is love. It's the passion, it's the desire, and seeing the the female yonis and the masculine phalluses everywhere. For me, for example, I'll let you in on a little secret. When I look at Avebury, I see these massive stones standing erect on the earth. They are standing on Mother Earth, and she is the receptacle. She is this open, beautiful, feminine energy of softness, of earth that can create life. And then you have the stones standing there. That is actually a very, I would say, life force fulfilling sight itself. You can see it everywhere. And I love that you saw that on the map. I will never see it the same again.
No, yeah, you won't, will you?
Yeah, I love that.
Well, you do. When you look at nature, sometimes you look at the hills and all that stuff, and you can actually see either masculine or a woman laying down, and you can see the whole structure of the mountain, which is
yes, the
body.
shape of a woman's hips and her curves. Absolutely. There is a mound here in Avebury. It's called Silbury Hill. And it is almost as if nature has been impregnated. This is a man-made mound. It was constructed over, I think, a period of 200 years. And they made an earthen mound. And what I see it as is almost as the pregnant belly of Mother Earth. It's the honoring of how Earth can be giving life, giving it back to us again and again, year after year, cycle after cycle, the eternal cycle of life. And when we actually, this is really interesting, I find, when we burn the Yule log, I'm sure you have heard of the Yule log, which is a big piece of wood that you burn it for 12 days of Christmas or Yule. When you take the ashes from this Yule log, you should mix it in with the new seeds that you plant onto the earth. And this will bring the light that is represented in the fire of burning this log. And then you mix it in with the seeds, and then you fertilize the land. So it's all about the land being fertile and green, and then planting the seeds, just like you have the semen you talked about, and fertilizing the land. This is the same symbology. We fertilize Mother Earth with the seeds, and she gives a whole new spring. She comes with the flowers, she comes with the plants, and everything starts again. It's this eternal cycle of creation. It's beautiful.
Okay. Do you want to quickly just mention about the scrolls, what you're doing with the scrolls?
Yes. Okay. So the scrolls, I've been fascinated with Egypt since I was about 5 or 6 years old. And I found all the books about Egypt in the school library. And I traveled to Egypt when I was 19, and then I traveled again many times. And for me, Egypt is a place where a lot of the hidden secrets and mysteries of our connection between being human and being divine, it's all hidden in Egypt, I feel. And for me, I had an episode in my life where I really wanted to change everything in the way I was living. And one night I was awake and I had what I call a mystical moment of awakening and remembering. And I was actually guided to start writing scrolls like the Egyptians. I had never done that before myself, but I started studying about papyrus. I started studying about the power of the word and actually how we speak our life and creation into existence by the words we choose, the thoughts we think, and also how we actually go about using the power of our word. And what happens when we write a scroll is that we're actually bringing our thoughts and the way we want to live our life, we bring it onto a paper, almost like a manifesto. We write down what we want to manifest in our lives. And I started doing this. And as I wrote the things that I most wanted to bring into my life, and I'm talking about things that come from the heart. I'm not talking about silly ideas that are, coming from a mental aspect of yourself. They're coming from what you truly want deep inside your heart. And I started writing those scrolls, and a couple of months later my life started transforming. And I noticed that there is an incredible forgotten power in the power of our word and in the power of writing. And in Egypt, you had many, many scribes. There's the goddess of scribing, her name is Shashet. You have another scribe called Thoth. And you have all these deities that are actually reminding us that the power of writing is a forgotten art. And it's something that we must bring back into our lives. So for me, the word is sacred. Writing is a sacred act. And it's part of how I co-create my life. And so I've devoted a lot of time teaching other people how to incorporate that into their life so they can create what they like instead of what they, create with unawareness or by accident. Because when you become really intentional and focused about your thoughts and your words and what you write, your whole life will change. And I can speak to that from experience. Yes.
Right. Okay. So is there anything, like, I'm aware we're sort of coming up to the hour, not that we're on a time clock or anything else. Is there anything else you'd like to share with what you're doing in your journey at this present moment?
And talk about the green man.
Yes, Jeff, what did you say?
Talk about the green man, the one we got on the
green
screen.
man. Yes, the green man is a mythical creature, but he also represents the masculine aspect of nature. And he lives in the trees, he lives in the animals, he has, the wisdom, the consciousness. And I think the green man is in pre-Christian times, the green man was the real, I would say, role model for the men growing up, for the men in society, because men really needed to be connected to nature to be powerful, to hold themselves, and to also find the wisdom, because the wisdom is there, it's in nature. And the connection to the green man, and he's also the life bringer. And this is an aspect that has been forgotten about. And I think that actually Santa Claus today, he is this multifaceted creation that actually holds the aspect of the green man in it. He's hidden in what we call the Santa Claus, who comes to bring gifts to everyone, who comes to remind us to be good to each other, remind us to be honorable, remind us to be generous and live in gratitude. And, think about it like this aspect of connecting yourself to nature as a man is really, really important. And if you look into indigenous cultures, there is a passage, a rite of passage that is really important around in age of puberty, around 13, 14, 15 years old, where a young man is actually initiated into a test of his manhood in nature. We don't do these things anymore, unless maybe a man is enrolled in services like the military or the Marines. Then he has a certain training where he learns to adapt to difficult environments. He learns to adapt in nature under critical circumstances. But if you don't do that, men don't really have this place anymore where they have to prove themselves and they have to connect to nature, to recognize their strength, recognize who they are, and recognize what nature is all about. So the green man, for me, represents that wisdom and that truth and that ultimate strength that a man can carry and hold and embody and be the wise man, be the noble king, just like the green man is the king of the nature. That is something that I would love for all young men and also maybe older men to really remember who they are and look into the green king and what he represents. Yeah.
I know
you have the Glastonbury, you have the festival, don't you? You have the Green Man.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, they have every festival.
Yes. Yeah, Glastonbury is a fantastic place to go and immerse yourself in the festivities of honoring the green man, honoring all the, the turning and cycles of the seasons, the summer solstice, the winter solstice, the equinoxes, all of it. Yeah.
So and Glastonbury have the goddess festival, don't they? And then have the march, and they put the green man at the head of the march, don't they? At the head of the parade.
Yes. Well, it's the eternal love affair, between the green man and the goddess. And it is exactly, like I said, the green man is probably the pre-ancestor to who we call Santa Claus today, which is a Christianized belief that has been put over, the green man. And it's all it's all really fascinating when you look into the background.
Just voicing an opinion here. I knew you were going to share something about Father Christmas tradition.
Yes. What did you want me to share specifically? Well, there's so many things.
I know you said you had a funny story, so I have no idea what you were going to share.
Oh, okay. I'm hearing some strange noises. I hope that's not Father Christmas.
There's a sheep outside, and she's very vocal, and they don't say ba, they say ma. Not like in all the storybooks. It's
really?
Honestly, well, but they say ma. And I thought, well, that's interesting that they've got everybody, instead of saying ma,
yes,
they say ba. So anyway,
well, I mean, yes, I think, animals, they really have a way of, helping us remember what sacred sounds are. Yes.
Well, luckily, there's only one outside going at the minute, so otherwise we can have a little chorus, or sometimes we have Jeff as the frogs going his side of the world. So very cool. Right.
Yes, I think I mean, maybe to round it off, or in conclusion, I just want to say that every time of the year is special. And I think when we honor everything in life for what it is, and we accept it as it is, and we can appreciate it, then our life can really be enhanced, and we can find so much more pleasure and connection in life. And actually, when we look at all these traditions around Christmas, around Yule, solstice, and celebrations, they are actually there for us to celebrate our life and to come together in community and to find meaning in life. And it is so important, because it's time to remember that even though we have this fun, amazing advances in technology and science, without the sun, we cannot continue life. So isn't this a beautiful time to reflect upon, what does light mean to you? What is the importance of the sun? What is the importance of all the elements of nature? And, take some time, just like nature goes into a deep sleep during winter time, take some time to reflect on your year. How has it been for you? What would you have liked to do differently? What are you going to do differently next year? And really nourishing yourself, just like having that blanket of snow over you, like the nature has, and going into stillness, going into that meditative state within you, and just, turning within and finding that peace in the season. Even I know it is difficult, because we are all, stressing about making it look the way we need to, celebrate it for our families, or coming to get-togethers with all the food and the presents. But I really urge and invite everyone to spend more time in nature, find the magic there, find the stillness there, find the peace there, and then come together in celebration of the light. The simple beauty of a flickering fires in your fireplace, creating that candlelit atmosphere around you, playing some beautiful music, really reminiscing about the year, thinking about how you're going to bring that wisdom into the new year and the new beginning. So that's what I think Christmas and Yule and solstice are all about. It's lovely. The renewal.
Definitely. Well, thank you. It's been absolutely amazing. I've loved you sharing all your traditions and everything to do with the earth and the elementals. And
it's my pleasure. There's a little gnome there.
So many different aspects, and the pictures are lovely, eh? So, okay. Is there anything you'd like to add, Jeffrey?
Now, before we come on here, we actually asked the meaning of Elisabet's family name. So it was really interesting, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I'm happy to share that. So my last name is Alfstad, and Alf is the Norwegian word for elven, and stad means home. So my last name means the home of the elven. So I believe that I'm probably in the lineage of the elven people in Norway.
I think that's lovely.
I did spend so much of my childhood outside of nature. I was mostly outside. I was never inside. So maybe it is true after all.
Yeah, you got that strong connection as well.
Yes.
Right. Well, thank you so much for being our
you.
guest this week. It's been an absolute delight as ever, and it's lovely seeing you again.
Thank you. So
Wishing
good to be with you.
I'm wishing everybody a happy solstice, wherever, whether you're north, south, east, or west. And just to let you know that this is the last one of this year. We're having a Christmas break, and we will be back on the 9th of January. And I've already got a list of guests booked for the start of the year. So
we've got a Welsh guy. We've got a Welsh bloke who lives in Australia on the 9th of January.
Well, that happens.
Yeah. He's an awesome.
Well, I wish you all the best for the season. Dear Jeff, dear Andrina, I hope you have a very cozy, warm, and refreshing time for you, Jeff, because I know it's very warm where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's swimming pool, mate. Swimming pool weather.
Sounds good.
Or the ocean, one or the other. Yeah.
The ocean. I would go to the ocean.
Definitely.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for tuning in this week, and we will see you in the new year. So we wish everybody happy solstice, happy Christmas, and all the best for the new year.
And we'll pick the best of 2 shows to play on the receptive Thursday nights, yeah?
If you like.
Okay. Now, did you want the little...
Well, yeah, that was the whole idea.